Derby County's transfer market did conclude a couple of weeks ago, but many decisions have been made since then, which has seen a range of different players leave the club, as well as certain players kept out of Derby County's 25-man squad. Now, across the course of this video, I'm going to be discussing all the latest with Derby County and what transfers were made across the course of the final day. Now, obviously, there was a lot of talking points through that final day and the live stream that we held just 10 days ago, of which the likes of Jake Rooney, Ben Osborn and Kenzo Halmine were massive talking points. Joe Ward was also linked with a move away. We also look at potential incomings that came for Derby County, and unfortunately none did arrive on that day. Now, obviously, you can let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments. And if you have not done so already, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. Make sure you check out the likes of Loaded, Kitbag and NordVPN down in the description. That's one way of getting yourself a product while helping the YouTube channel over here. But shall we just take a look at what happened on that final day and do an overview of the transfer window? Head on over to raffle.com, linked down in the description, so that you can get yourselves into the raffle to win 2 Derby County home tickets or a 2025-26 DCFC kit of your choice. Tickets start at just £1 per ticket, with a range of different bundles available to you, where you can buy 2 tickets, get 2 free, 5 tickets, get 5 free, 10 tickets to get 10 free, and 15 tickets for 15 free. All you need to do is head on over to Derby County's website, get yourself a fan ID. So if you are the winner of this raffle, I can send you over those tickets. And all you have to do is enter a question just a little bit about Jamie Carragher and what club he played at for his entire career. So if you haven't done so already, head on over to raffle.com, linked in the description, so that you can join the raffle for 2 Derby County home tickets or a 2025-26 DCFC kit of your choice. Now, obviously, this transfer window for Derby County was a massively important one. It was a huge one for John Eustace, as he looked to try and put a squad together that he thinks can compete in this division to a really high level. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Derby County have made some excellent moves across the course of this transfer window, with the likes of Ryan Brewster coming in. You look at players like Lewis Travis, Ben Diaz, and I think Derby County have made some very, very good moves. But it's the outgoings for me that have sort of put me on the back foot a little bit in regards to what I'm expecting across the course of this season. And you look at a player like Kenzo Halmine moving out on loan, a player like Jake Rooney, 2 players who, in my opinion, could have had an impact this season. Now, obviously, it's important to remember that Derby County can only have a 25-man squad in the EFL Championship. And I believe everybody 21 and under is registered no matter what. But once you go over that 21 bracket, you have to be registered, which is where I think Jake Rooney has sort of fell short in this position. Now, in terms of Kenzo Halmine, we're going to discuss that in this video, because I am a little bit bewildered by the fact that that ended up happening, if I'm completely honest. But let's first take a look at sort of the incomings that Derby County have had. We've seen the return of David Ozo, we've seen Owen Beck sign on loan, Dion Sanderson, Bobby Clark and Ben Diaz have all signed on loan at Derby County. In terms of David Ozo, we all know what we're going to get, and we've already seen it so far with his appearances. Owen Beck is still yet to play. Hopefully he's someone who can get back fit and back within it over the course of the next few weeks. In terms of Dion Sanderson, it's been an interesting move. Early on in the move, it didn't really work out. You look at the game against Stoke City, you look at the penalty he gave away, I believe it was against Coventry, but realistically, since then, he's just got better and better, which I think is really, really important. You look at someone like Bobby Clark, who I think is going to be massively influential this season, and the introduction of Ben Diaz puts Derby County in an unbelievable position for me, especially within those forward areas. When you look at the options Derby County had last season to the options they have now, I think it is really night and day, the quality levels that Derby County have. And unfortunately, a lot of those players those players that I've just mentioned are unfortunately loan signings. So as much as they probably won't be turning permanent, they are going to have a massive impact this season. Now, if we look at some other players that we've bought in, let's take a look at those free transfers. We've got Richard O'Donnell, we've got Danny Bart, Andreas Weimann and Ryan Brewster, who all arrived on free transfers. O'Donnell is literally just going to be that third choice goalkeeper, and for me, probably won't touch the field in terms of actual competitive fixtures, but we will wait and see. Danny Bart and Andreas Weimann, add not just experience but also quality to their positions. Danny Bart, I think, is a very, very good defender. Andreas Weimann can be massively influential in that forward line. And then we go on to Ryan Brewster. Now, that 2-year deal that he signed, every time he seems to touch the ball as a Derby County player, looks shorter and shorter. And I'm hoping that within the next few weeks, maybe next few months, Derby County will be able to extend that deal and give him a little bit of a pay boost. But obviously he needs to continue the form. Now, obviously, as we closed out the transfer window, Derby County signed 2 players in the form of Max Johnston and Lewis Travis. Both made their debut up against Ipswich, which I did do a live watch along for. And both players look very good, very solid, exactly what you'd expect. Max Johnston recently made his first senior start for Scotland, and Lewis Travis, we know exactly what we're getting with him. Captain material, a little bit of a shithouse, and we're just going to have to wait and see how it all transpires. Now, early on in the window, Derby County bought in Carlton Morris. We all know how good he's been. 4 goals in 4 Championship League games. Is he going to be able to continue that this weekend? And then obviously you've got Patrick Agyemang, who isn't yet back within the squad, but he has been training over the course of the international break. Now it's the outgoings that I really want to talk about, and we'll get through the easy ones. Forner, Mendez-Laing, Barkes and Bradley Washington, all expected departures for me. Mendez-Laing, I did expect to leave, but I didn't expect it to be the way that he left to MK Dons, if I'm honest. I did personally anticipate it would be a loan move. You then look at players like Luthra, Hendrick, Peters and Kmar Roof, all who moved on. Peters and Roof have been at Derby County across the course of pre-season, where they've been given that opportunity to get fit, and hopefully they can find themselves a club. You then look at a player like Armstrong and Harness, both players who left at the end of their loan spells as well. Harness has now gone on to Huddersfield, and Harrison Armstrong is now on loan at Preston. But the real outgoings that I want to talk about, it starts with Kane Wilson. Then you've got the likes of Kenzo, Osborn, Rooney and Dejon Brown, all in my opinion, who need to be discussed. And for me, the most shocking of those 5 was obviously the Kane Wilson move, where Kane Wilson ended up making that move to MK Dons, which, don't get me wrong, for him is probably an unbelievable move. A 4-year contract, probably a fairly decent wage, and he's probably going to get himself a promotion or 2 as well. And he's going to be a consistent starter there, because Paul Warne absolutely adores Kane Wilson, and he's going to play football, he's going to cause problems, and that is exactly what Paul Warne wants at MK Dons. It's exactly what Kane Wilson wants to do. And with the introduction of Max Johnston at Derby County, him leaving wasn't necessarily the shock that it should have been, but it was still a very shocking move to see Kane Wilson drop all the way down to League 2. I did anticipate he would leave. It was something which I expected, especially if you go to early during the summer when we got the talk of him rejecting contract offers and things like that. Although I know people are arguing that Wilson said he was never offered anything, you can never really be sure in that respect. It just always felt that this was either going to be his last season with us, or he was going to move on this summer. And I think it was the right thing to do to let him move on. Derby County would have got at least a 6-figure fee for him, probably towards the high end of that as well, which obviously is very good for Derby, as they recoup a little bit of the investment they put into Max Johnston, and also they're able to help bring in other players. We then go on to someone like Dejon Brown. I think it's a very good move for him going to Port Vale. Will he get enough game time? I'm not entirely sure. Obviously, I believe so far he's only made 1 appearance off the bench. And they obviously then brought in Devante Cole, which sort of shuts down options in a way for Dej. But hopefully he'll get more and more opportunities as sort of the season goes on and things like that. He's obviously only been there a couple of weeks, and he doesn't have that seasoned pro experience that Devante Cole does, but we will wait and see. Ben Osborne has gone and joined Stockport. I don't think we'll see him in a Derby shirt again. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I do think that's sort of the end of the road now. How he gets on at Stockport, I do think is largely irrelevant. I think Derby County have moved on from that. And then we've got Jake Rooney, a player for me who I think could have had huge impact this season, could have been a part of that back 4 or back 5 in a range of different positions. He can even play in that holding midfield role. Now, My hope for Rooney's move to Barnsley is that he will get consistent game time, will show his worth, but the problem with that is that his contract is expiring at the end of this season. Does he have an option in the contract? We don't know for certain. I would personally hope that he does, so that Derby County could potentially capitalise on that at the end of this loan move, where they could potentially move him on to pastures new on a permanent basis and collect a fee for him, or even keep him if that's what they see fit to do. But we're gonna have to wait and see. And the final move of the window, which was the latest one to be done as a result of transfer windows closing on different days and things like that, and it's one which I really wanted to talk about, and I'm probably going to do a video on its own discussing this move as well, because I'm very, very shocked that this move has actually happened and gone ahead. And I didn't know this happened until probably about 24, 48 hours ago. I put a tweet out on Twitter at the time. Obviously, I went on holiday. I deleted all social media. I wasn't getting notifications, and wasn't aware of where sort of, if anything, had happened after deadline day. We all knew about Osborn and Rooney potentially heading out, with the links to Stockport and Plymouth for Osborn. Rooney had Barnsley. I think Stockport was one as well, and I think there was another team in for Rooney as well. But we knew they were going to happen. They didn't surprise me. But when I logged onto Twitter and saw that Kenzo Halmine had gone and joined Go Ahead Eagles back in the Eredivisie and had been registered for their Europa League squad, I was very, very surprised. I thought, when you look at a player like Kenzo Halmine, you look at what he can do on the ball, you look at his ability, and I just didn't necessarily see him leaving. But then I completely understand the position that John Eustace is in terms of the 25-man squad, and we know that he's left out Curtis Nelson from that 25-man squad as a result of his injuries, left out Richard O'Donnell as well as a result of being the third-choice goalkeeper, not really going to be getting those opportunities. But when it comes to Kenzo, I really thought he was going to be a part of the squad this year. I really thought he was going to be a big part as well, and to be completely honest with you, I'm very surprised in the direction that we have taken, not necessarily in terms of the midfield, but in terms of Kenzo, because he signed on a 4-year contract just 12 months ago, and we're now in a position where he's going to come back with 2 years left, and hopefully he performs really well for Go Ahead Eagles. Hopefully he has a great time in the Eredivisie, puts in some good performances in the Europa League, and hopefully can recoup us what we paid for him if we sell him in the summer, or maybe even get himself back within the group, which is obviously, in my personal opinion, the hope and the plan. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens on that for me. I am disappointed to see Kenzo leave. I think he offers something that we don't really have in that deeper position. I'm not necessarily going to say he's better than a David Ozo or better than a Lewis Travis or an Ibu Adams, but I do think he's better than Liam Thompson, and I do think he offers a lot more than a Liam Thompson. I do think he offers more on the ball than an Adams. I do think he is one of those players that should be within our squad cohort, in my opinion. But that is a position that it's a decision that's been made, and it's one that I'm not entirely sure about, but we will wait and see how his loan spell goes and if he can get himself back within that Derby County squad heading into next season. But you can let me know your thoughts down in the comments if you have not done so already. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Check out Loaded, Kitbag, and NordVPN down below to get yourself a product while supporting the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye, guys. Head on over to raffle.com, linked down in the description, so that you can get yourselves into the raffle to win 2 Derby County home tickets or a 2025-26 DCFC kit of your choice. Tickets start at just £1 per ticket, with a range of different bundles available to you, where you can buy 2 tickets, get 2 free, 5 tickets, get 5 free, 10 tickets to get 10 free, and 15 tickets for 15 free. All you need to do is head on over to Derby County's website, get yourself a fan ID. So if you are the winner of this raffle, I can send you over those tickets, and all you have to do is enter a question just a little bit about Jamie Carragher and what club he played at for his entire career. So if you haven't done so already, head on over to raffle.com, linked in the description, so that you can join the raffle for 2 Derby County home tickets or a 2025-26 DCFC kit of your choice.